First news of 94 is the announcement in Paris that Olivier Barretto will partner Eric Comas at Larousse as the team switches from Lamborghini to Ford V8 Power.
FIA President Max Mosley warns that the consequences for any team or driver found cheating will be, quote, mind-blowing, end quote, in the coming season.
Mark Blundell lands the Tyrrell drive alongside Katayama.
It's nice to come to Tyrrell, it's nice to come to an English team, obviously an Englishman.
At Silverstone, the new Jordan Hart B194 stuns Rubens Barrichello on its debut.
Benetton announced that JJ Leto will partner Michael Schumacher and also sign young Dutchman Jos Verstappen. The new Benetton is the first of the Big Four to be out testing.
It's not all hard work, as Madonna di Campiglio in Italy plays host to the annual skiing get-together.
It's here that rumours circulate to the effect that Prost will test a McLaren Peugeot during the first week of February.
Frank Williams is adamant that Prost cannot race for another team, effectively being still under contract to Williams.
On paper, at least, Senna and Williams are hot favourites for 94, but Ayrton is under no illusions.
Under no illusions, that's going to be an easy thing, because it's going to take a lot of effort to get used with a new machine and new people, a new team of team members. And I am ready to start the work.
Damon Hill is upbeat and looking forward to the season ahead.
Thrilled to bits to have Ayrton in the team with me, and I'm really looking forward to this year.
Martin Brundle has no idea who he'll be driving for, but it's no secret he's after a McLaren seat.
Fittipaldi lands the footwork deal on his 23rd birthday.
Leto crashes at Silverstone in his first test since signing for Benetton. He's removed unconscious to Northampton Hospital with fractured vertebrae in his neck.
Eddie Irvine signs for the second Jordan seat.
At a sunny Estoril, Senna and Coulthard in FW15Ds, Irvine in the new Jordan, Frentzen and Wendlinger in the new Sauber, and Zanardi and Herbert in Lotuses are joined by Bernard in the Ligier. Predictably, it's a light-hearted and relaxed Senna.
Rather soft clutch pedal.
And he emerges fastest at the end of his first week with the Williams team.
At McLaren's Woking HQ, the new Peugeot-engined MP49 is launched, and Ron Dennis is pressed on Prost.
And as far as we're concerned, he just represents a driver who has won 3 World Championships of his 4 World Championships in a McLaren, and of course that inevitably makes him extremely suitable as regards his driving for McLaren in 1994.
Ferrari's new John Barnard designed 412 T1 is launched to a rapturous media reception at Maranello.
Whilst Christian Fittipaldi does the honours for Footwork's FA15 at a murky Silverstone.
Ken Tyrrell is joined by Harvey Postlethwaite at Olympia to unveil the new Tyrrell Yamaha 022.
Michael Schumacher is in scintillating form in Spain and is joined by new boy Jos Verstappen.
No, I did only 2 years of motor racing, and then now I tuned in to the Formula 1 as a test driver. It is all going very fast for me, but I can handle it, sure.
Schumacher's Benetton is looking ominously quick.
We don't know what other teams have done. I think we have done a good job. Depends what the other teams have done. Maybe they've done even a better job. I don't hope so. Somebody will win and somebody will lose.
Some people say that Heinz-Harald Frentzen is even quicker than Schumacher.
I think we are a new generation, and it's good to give us a chance to get into Formula 1. I think it's time to beat them.
Frentzen has a strong teammate in Austrian Karl Wendlinger.
Ron Dennis fixes the long-expected Prost test in the hope of sorting a race deal and claims that when Alain tests, he will do so as a free agent. Mika Hakkinen, meanwhile, continues to develop the new McLaren Peugeot MP49.
Martini and Alboreto are confirmed at the reformed Minardi team.
Pacific Grand Prix is new to Formula 1.
The initial stage, the first stage is the first 2 races. We just want to do a good performance and finish the races. And then, obviously, as soon as we've achieved that, we'll want the next stage, which is to try and be regularly in the top 10.
Bertrand Gachot and Paul Belmondo are the 2 drivers chosen for the task.
Another new team for 94 is Simtek. Driver David Brabham rates their chances.
I think we could be up there and have a few surprises. We're going to have ups and downs, but I'd like to think that towards the end of the season we'll get a lot more competitive and hopefully, get the odd point now and then.
1994 sees the reintroduction of refuelling during pit stops, and in Spain, the Jordan team are the first to try out the new equipment.
Another new change is the banning of traction control. Mika Hakkinen used the Barcelona tests to repeatedly practice his race starts.
Footwork announced that Gianni Morbidelli will partner Christian Fittipaldi.
And Simtek announced Roland Ratzenberger as their second driver, despite this little indiscretion at the Variante Bassa.
Happily, Leito is back and seemingly recovered from his Silverstone accident. He's unlikely for Brazil, though.
Portuguese Pedro Lamy joins Johnny Herbert in the Lotus Mugen, an update of last year's car.
One major question remains unanswered, however. Who will partner Mika Hakkinen at McLaren? Alain Prost, Philippe Alliot, or Martin Brundle?
After a 4-day test in Estoril, it's Brundle who gets the nod for Brazil. Alliot isn't ruled out, and Prost announces on French television that he will not be returning to Formula One in 1994.
At the pre-season drivers' weigh-in, carried out incidentally with the drivers in full race kit, complete with helmet, Bertrand Gachot emerges heaviest at a hefty 81 kilograms, whilst the two lightweights for 94 are Morbidelli and Frentzen at 62. The difference could be worth as much as half a second a lap. Senna is intrigued to know what he's up against.
How much does Damon weigh? Who's the heaviest? Gachot.
At 1 p.m. local time, March 25th, 1994, the first of the season's official action begins.
It's a new experience for the Pacific and Simtek teams, whose first battle will be to qualify their cars for the race.
Michael Schumacher, who is joined by Jos Verstappen for Brazil in place of the injured Leito, puts up a fight in qualifying against local hero Senna, but winds up second fastest.
Senna isn't happy with the handling of the new FW16.
A year ago, the difference was with the electronic suspension. The cars were riding the bumps a bit better. Now, with the normal suspension, it is very difficult for setting up the cars and getting the cars to ride smooth over the bumps.
But he still emerges fastest in every session to claim pole position. Hill takes fourth.
The new McLaren is down in 8th and 18th spot with throttle problems.
Berger's Ferrari suffers technical troubles, keeping him back in 17th spot, while Jean Alesi manages to haul his understeering car up to third, albeit over a second shy of the front row.
One more second covers another 10 cars, down to Comas in 13th. The new rules have definitely closed things up.
For the crowd, only one thing dominates their thoughts, the prospect of another Senna victory.
At the green, Senna gets away first. Schumacher is passed by Alesi and drops to third, and Hakkinen is quickly up 2 places into 6th. With Schumacher held up, Senna immediately opens up a gap to Alesi. Lap 2 and Schumacher eases past the Frenchman after a couple of unsuccessful earlier attempts. So Senna is first, 4 seconds ahead. Schumacher is second and Alesi third. Lap 14, McLaren awaits Brundle as Senna and Schumacher pull well clear of the rest of the field. Lap 15, McLaren become the first team to make a fuel and tyre stop. Time 10.3 seconds. Lap 21, Senna and Schumacher come in together. The pit crews will decide who leads. Benetton proved the faster, handing the lead to Schumacher with Senna now second. Lap 34, Verstappen and Irvine are trying to lap Bernard, and all are bearing down on a slowing Brundle. Amazingly, no one is seriously injured. With both Senna and Schumacher having made a further pit stop each, the gap settles at a little over 9 seconds, with the Benetton having the advantage. That is until Senna pushes a little too hard on lap 56. Senna stalls the engine and is an instant retirement. Schumacher is now on his own at the front and goes on to score a convincing victory. Damon Hill finishes second and Jean Lacey third. Michael Schumacher is delighted. Irvine receives the wrath of the stewards for this incident, giving him a one-race ban and a $10,000 fine. The Jordan team serves notice of its intention to appeal against the stewards' decision.
Other news, Jean Lacey injures his back in a Ferrari testing accident at Mugello. Williams tests at Jerez in an effort to sort out the problems experienced with the FW16 in Brazil. At the FIA Court of Appeal in Paris, Irvine's one-race ban is increased to 3. Roland Ratzenberger hasn't yet started a race in Formula One, but he has raced at Aida in Japan, something that none of the other Formula One drivers have done. He explains what it's like.
It's a nice little facility. It's very clean and brand new, basically.
For the Pacific Grand Prix, Aguri Suzuki takes over Irvine's Jordan, while Nicola Larini stands in for Jean Lacey. Compared to last year's championship-winning car, the Williams FW16 is proving problematical for Hill and Senna, both drivers struggling to find a suitable handling balance. Williams designer Patrick Head is quite open on the subject.
We're certainly not happy with the way things are with the car right as they are at the moment. The handling isn't particularly good.
The two Benettons, however, are looking good, but team boss Flavio Briatore is cautious.
Now is the second race, and tomorrow I start in the first grid, and it's quite good. But is our possibility for the world champion? Honestly, I don't know. Williams have very, very strong package.
The two Ferraris are suffering from a lack of rear-end grip and wearing a set of tyres in a single lap. Qualifying sees Berger and Larini 5th and 7th. Hakkinen manages to wreck an under-tray and damage the underside of a monocoque on his way to 4th on the grid, while Brundle does much the same on his way to 6th spot. For Senna, it's another Williams pole position, despite a spin. Teammate Damon Hill is 3rd fastest, and Schumacher's Benetton 2nd. Race day, Benetton's Briatore and a pensive Senna.
Buona cosa,
At the green, Schumacher makes an unbelievable getaway, as does Hakkinen, who tips Senna into a spin, and Larini has nowhere to go. Both drivers are out, both are angry. So Schumacher leads from Hakkinen's scarred McLaren and a charging Hill in the second. Williams anxious to get past the Finn and stay in touch with the lead. Further back, Berger's Ferrari is 4th, but Hill goes off in his attempts to pass Hakkinen on lap 4 and rejoins in 9th position. Undeterred, he immediately passes Verstappen on lap 5, Frentzen on lap 6, Fittipaldi on lap 8, Brundle on lap 11 and Barrichello on lap 12 to move up into 4th place. Lap 18 and Hill is in for a fuel tyre stop, the Williams team producing the quickest stop so far. He rejoins in 10th, by lap 26 he's into 5th and challenging Berger for 4th. Brundle and Barrichello make their stops, Hill passes Berger and he's into 2nd until lap 50 when he retires with transmission problems. Lap 53, Verstappen in the 2nd Benetton makes his final stop and promptly spins in front of Frentzen at the first corner. Lap 69 and Brundle retires with a dead engine, so Barrichello's 3rd, Berger hangs on to 2nd and Schumacher collects another win.
These 2 wins, I wouldn't believe at all if anybody would tell me this before the season.
Rubens Barrichello and the whole Jordan team are visibly over the moon. It's Rubens' first ever podium finish, and fittingly it's Jordan's 50th Grand Prix.
I just had a problem on the last pit stop because the engine died, and I was 4th. I said, I can't believe that, you know, it's not today that I'm going to the podium. But suddenly I saw Brundle stopping, and, you know, I'm just really, really pleased for me and for the team because they've done a really good job.
Andrea De Cesaris lands the 2nd Jordan seat in place of Eddie Irvine, who still has 2 races left to run on his Brazilian ban. Jean Alesi's return is put back until after the San Marino GP. Nicola Larini will again substitute for the recovering Frenchman. Benetton's JJ Leto is happy to be back for San Marino, now fully recovered from his serious pre-season testing accident. Benetton test driver Jos Verstappen is less enthusiastic. Ayrton Senna and Damon Hill have a heavily revised Williams FW16 for Imola in an effort to close the gap on Benetton and in particular this man, Michael Schumacher. The Ferraris are on their home ground at Imola and the adoring Tifosi have waited too long for a Ferrari win, let alone on home ground. Senna, pleased with the revised aerodynamic package of the Williams, sets a provisional pole position lap of 1 minute 21.548 seconds during Friday afternoon's official qualifying. Then Rubens Barrichello goes off at the Variante Bassa. Teammate Eddie Irvine describes how Rubens caught the tyre wall to the anxious Jordan team.
I think he just caught the very top of the last maybe row or something, you know, the last one, and then that sort of threw him like this, and it hit the wall, and then the whole side came off it, and then it rolled a couple of times, but his head never had anything. His arm was out and all that, but I think he was knocked out the initial whack.
You've seen Rubens? He's all right. He's all right. He's shocked, of course, but he's all right.
Okay, you don't remember?
A very fortunate Barrichello will be back at the circuit on Saturday afternoon with a fractured nose, bandaged arm and cut lip as the Variante Bassa continue to catch out the drivers during qualifying. Saturday, Schumacher is intent on closing the gap to Senna's provisional pole time, and 3 laps sees him within 0.3 of a second. The San Marino Grand Prix, however, takes a tragic turn. 31-year-old Austrian driver Roland Ratzenberger in the Simtek leaves the circuit at the flat-out Villeneuve kink on the approach to Tosa.
that was the first time that I find myself shaking after accident. I was sitting in the car, I watched it on the monitor, and when they start to put him out of the car, I could see that it's going to be very, very bad. And of course, in our job, you're sometimes a bit prepared to see situations like this. But as it was another Austrian driver, as it was a personal contact to a person, it's even worse. And I know you should not make a difference between a driver what you know and a driver what you don't know, but it affects you in a different way.
Sunday morning, Ayrton Senna and Gerhard Berger discussed driver safety. This is the first meeting that will eventually lead to the reformation of the Grand Prix Drivers Association. Ayrton Senna, Gerhard Berger and Michael Schumacher are the prime movers.
Then we fix. Yeah. We're already here now for the speed limit for Monaco. Yeah.
With Ratzenberger's accident still uppermost in everyone's minds, the cars duly line up for the race. Bravely, David Brabham and the Simtek team choose to continue.
As the lights switch to green, it's Senna who gets away first, as JJ Leto in the Benetton stalls on row 3 and is quickly collected by the unsighted Pedro Lamy in the Lotus. With Lamy unhurt and Leto receiving a light arm injury, it's a flying wheel from the Lotus that vaults the spectator fence, injuring 8 fans and a policeman that is the major cause for concern. As the rest of the field pours into Tosa, the decision is taken to bring out the safety car. Picking up the cars at the start of the second lap, the safety car controls the field until the end of lap 5, whilst the marshals clear the wreckage from the start line. The safety car having peeled off into the pit lane, we rejoin the race at the start of lap 6, with Schumacher a close second behind Senna. Through Tamburello, sparks fly from the rear end of the Williams, and we join Ayrton Senna on board for what would be his last lap. Despite an overwhelming sense of tragedy, the field takes the restart some 45 minutes later. At this stage, the true gravity of Senna's situation is unknown. At the green, Berger's Ferrari gets the jump on Schumacher from Hill, Hakkinen, Larini in the second Ferrari, Wendlinger and Katayama. Through Tamburello and round into Tosa, the red Ferrari stays in front as the Tifosi-packed stands erupt in a sea of flags, hooters and waving arms. Their joy would last for 10 laps, when a mistake on the exit of Acqua Minerale would be all that Schumacher needed to take back the lead. Soon after, Berger heads for the pits and retirement, the official reason being that there's a problem with the left rear of the car. The San Marino Grand Prix would have one more nasty twist. Michele Alboretto's Minardi loses its right rear wheel as he leaves the pit lane following his second stop. The flying wheel knocks down 3 Ferrari mechanics and 1 from Lotus. All are injured, but none seriously. Oblivious to it all, Schumacher leads from Nicola Larini's Ferrari and Mika Hakkinen now in third in the McLaren Peugeot. Rounding out the final top 6 places to the flag are Wendlinger, Katayama and Damon Hill. A somber Michael Schumacher speaks afterwards.
It happened this week and never have seen something like this. Not just one thing, so many things. The only thing I can say about this is I hope we learn from this. I think there is a lot to learn from and we have to use this, and things like this, they shouldn't happen without taking the experience from it.
And perhaps spare a thought for second place Nicola Larini.
I'm happy with my result. It's my best result in my career. And could be the last one because next race Alesi will take his car, and but I'm happy for the other things.
The FIA is quick to issue a statement following the tragic accidents at San Marino. The following day, Williams issues an official statement. The FIA announces a new pit lane speed limit of 50 miles an hour and will tighten the entrance and exits of the pit lanes. Severe penalties will be imposed on any driver breaking the speed limit. Max Mosley takes the opportunity to reject media speculation over the possible cause of Senna's accident, but does put forward the current hypothesis on the cause of Ratzenberger's fatal crash. A state funeral is held in honour of Ayrton Senna on Thursday, May 5th. It follows 3 days of official mourning. Nearly 1 million grieving Brazilians watch the funeral procession. As a mark of respect, both Williams and Simtek only enter 1 car each for Monaco. On the Wednesday prior to the Grand Prix, Gerhard Berger holds a press conference to announce his intention to continue in Formula 1, ending speculation he may retire following the tragic deaths of Senna and Ratzenberger.
I earned good money, I was driving in good teams, I was winning races, I had pole positions on the quickest lap. I have nothing, basically not a lot to prove. So, what is the point to take still risk what is every day involved in this job? And that was my question to myself all the last week. But the other side is, what is the rest of your life? Basically you don't love anything else. I mean, I have a company at home. I would have a challenge in my company. But what I love is driving racing cars.
During Thursday morning's first free practice session, Carl Wendlinger suffers a high-speed accident at the chicane. He is removed to hospital unconscious. Sauber withdraw Frenson's car from the event.
The condition is serious but stable. After the telemetry data, Carl braked 13 meters later on that very lap. than on the previous fastest lap.
On Friday morning, Niki Lauda announces the reformation of the GPDA.
At the drivers' meeting of today, we agreed to form the Grand Prix Driver Association. It was agreed that the representatives of the GPDA will be Niki Lauda, Michael Schumacher, Gerhard Berger and Christian Fittipaldi. The GPDA requests a representation and recognition within the FIA to improve the safety of Formula One. After a 4-hour meeting, you can never talk. After a 4-hour meeting, we discussed that we have to take immediate action to look at the next 3 Grand Prix circuits together with the FIA for possible improvement.
For the next Grand Prix, which is Barcelona, we're going to reduce the size of the diffuser, we are going to raise the front wing end plates, and we're going to restrict the size of the front wings. Now the effect of that, for those who are not technical, is that the downforce on the car will immediately be reduced by something in the order of 15%. For the next race but one, which is Canada, we're going to firstly increase the lateral protection for the driver's head by increasing the size of the sides of the cockpit. Secondly, in order to allow the teams to do that without any difficulty from the point of view of weight or strength, therefore, we're going to increase the minimum weight limit with effect from Canada by 25 kilos. Thirdly, we are going to bring in provisions for strengthening the front wishbones in a technical way which I won't trouble you with, but the effect of which will be to make it much less likely that a front wheel will become partially detached and strike the driver. Fourthly, we are going to lengthen the cockpits, try to avoid drivers striking their heads forward on the cockpit. Fifthly, we are going to change the fuel regulation and impose the use of pump petrol. And finally, we are going to remove the airboxes from the engines. This will have an additional effect on horsepower because, as you probably appreciate, the airboxes are put there to encourage the air to go into the engine. So those measures will all come into force that is to say before, in time for the Canadian Grand Prix.
Monaco is a favourite among sponsors, and its unique 4-day schedule with qualifying on Thursday and Saturday leaves Friday free for the drivers and sponsors to get together at social events. Saturday morning. Mika Häkkinen puts in a blinding lap to edge himself into pole position ahead of Michael Schumacher's Friday best. Mika records a 1 minute 19.488 seconds lap. That's nearly 8 tenths quicker than Schumacher and an improvement of over 2 seconds on Mika's Friday best. Berger's Ferrari goes third fastest, but Schumacher responds with a near-perfect lap of 1 minute 18.580 seconds to take pole position by nearly a full second. It's a staggering performance by the young German.
And just knew that this is the lap and the tyres will perform 100%, and I'm going to make a big step out of compared to the first lap. In the last corner I came really sideways and I lost quite a lot.
Sunday, the front row of the grid is left empty and a minute's silence is held before the race in memory of Senna and Ratzenberger.
At the lights, Schumacher makes a clean getaway from pole position as Damon Hill hits Mika Häkkinen's McLaren on the entry to Sainte-Devote. The field scrambles up the hill towards Casino Square. McLaren is left stranded, an instant retirement, along with a tangling Morbidelli and Martini. Schumacher leads from Berger, Alesi, Fittipaldi, Brundle and Blundell. race in the Seoul Williams is over, a legacy of his contact with Häkkönen's McLaren. Lap 20, Schumacher leads, having lapped the entire field up to 8th. Lap 40, and Berger is in second, ahead of Brundle's McLaren, until Blundel's engine lets go at Saint-Devoux.
I saw too late the oil flag, and I lost about 9 or 10 seconds, and so Martin was just behind me.
Brundle dives down the outside into Mirabeau, snatching second place, but he's a long way behind Michael Schumacher, who, barring any bad luck, will make it 4 wins out of 4. Schumacher takes the win from Brundle, Berger, De Cesaris in the Jordan, Alesi and Alboretto's Minardi.
Pedro Lamy becomes the first driver to fall foul of the 50 mph pit lane limit, receiving a $5,000 fine. Lotus will debut its new 109 at Barcelona, one car being available for Johnny Herbert. Pedro Lamy has a massive testing accident at Silverstone, dislocating both legs and breaking his wrist. He's likely to be out for the rest of the year and will be replaced at Lotus by Italian Alessandro Zanardi. Eddie Irvine is back in Spain after his 3-race ban from Brazil. Andrea Montemini gets the second Simtex seat alongside David Brabham. Heinz-Harald Frentzen will be Sauber's only representative in Barcelona as Carl Wendlinger makes steady progress in hospital following his Monaco practice accident. Williams test driver David Coulthard gets his chance in the second Williams seat. Frank Williams holds a press conference in Spain to explain the reasons for his choice.
He's got the sensational-looking girlfriend. Beyond that, he is obviously very quick, but he's got a very analytical brain and uses that brain to analyse his car. Whenever he is testing for us, like Damon, he has made a lot of progress, both for himself and for the car.
This is the first event since the formation of the Grand Prix Drivers Association.
And there it's still not safe enough for the improvement.
A temporary chicane is installed at the Nissan corner to slow the cars before the second gear La Caixa hairpin.
Any possible help to improve it for this weekend in a kind of a compromise, putting another chicane before, slow the cars down.
In Saturday morning's free practice session, Montemini runs wide on the exit of the last corner onto the start-finish straight with horrific consequences. He is very lucky to escape with a broken left heel and a broken right foot. With Saturday's afternoon qualifying session being cooler than Friday, it's Schumacher's Benetton that takes pole position with a lap of 1 minute 21.908 seconds. Hill is second, half a second behind, and Häkkinen third. The Circuit de Catalunya pays tribute to the late Ayrton Senna with a memorial unveiled by Bernie Ecclestone at the circuit entrance. Sunday is sunny and warm.
Schumacher gets the best start from Hill, Häkkinen, Alesi, Leto and Coulthard. The young German then proceeds to pull out a massive lead in the early laps. Lap 14, Berger runs wide, damaging the underside of the Ferrari. 25 laps later, Barrichello ends his race in a cloud of dust. Lap 41, Hill makes his second stop from the lead. Schumacher is in trouble. His car stuck in 5th gear. He explains the situation.
The car was running perfect in the beginning, and then suddenly I wanted to shift into different gears, and it didn't want to do what I asked it to do. I don't know actually what really happened. I just know that I finished then going in 5th gear.
An unimpressed Briatore has to watch his young charge finish second for the first time this year, while Williams look set for their first victory. Hakkinen by now was making gains on Schumacher and challenging for second place. The McLaren Peugeot looking much better in Spain, but on lap 48 his engine would expire in a cloud of smoke. One lap to go, Hill enjoys a 20-second margin over Schumacher. Williams-Renault on course to make up for the agony of the season so far. The loss of Leto and Brundle to engine failures moves Mark Blundell into third place to score his first points of the season. With only the last few corners remaining, it's a dominant win for Hill and a particularly emotional one for the Williams team. The entire pit lane happy to see someone other than Schumacher and Benetton take victory. Tearful scenes are best summed up by Damon after the race.
This victory must go to everyone at Williams who have been through terrible times, and also to all the fans of Ayrton Senna who I met in Brazil, who said to me that they would be very pleased to see the Williams team do well.
By taking third place, Mark Blundell gives Yamaha their best ever result.
It's been a tough year for me so far, and for the team because I've put a lot of work in. It's great, Toro Yamaha, third position. First podium for Yamaha, scored the first point from back in '91, so that's good.
Damon Hill's win in Barcelona marks Goodyear's 300th Grand Prix victory. To celebrate the milestone, the company is presented with a trophy by Bernie Ecclestone.
Next stop in the championship is Canada, round 6, and that means a flyaway trip for the cars and equipment. With 5 rounds of the championship gone, Schumacher leads the drivers' table with 46 points, from Hill with 17, Berger 10, Alesi 9, Barrichello 7, and Brundle and Marini tied in 6th spot with 6 points apiece. In the Constructors' Championship, Benetton Ford leads with 46 points, from Ferrari with 25, and Williams-Renault 17. Montreal plays host to the annual Mechanics Raft Race. The object of the exercise is to cross the stretch of water, collect a wheel and tyre, and bring it back. The team from Simtek scores what could be its best result of the season, 6th. But it's the Jordan team that wins the race for the 4th year in succession, ahead of the Goodyear and Benetton teams, and Eddie Irvine is proud of his men. The Canadian Grand Prix sees a modified version of the changes to airboxes announced by the FIA in Monaco. The teams must now cut holes to reduce the ram effect, and they interpret the ruling in different ways. Also in for Canada are the strengthened lower front wishbones, the 15-kilo minimum weight increase, and the use of pump fuel. Benetton have a new rear wing assembly, not unlike that of Williams, and Ferrari have revised side pods. For this year's race, a new chicane has been installed to slow the cars prior to the flat-out right-left kink that leads on to the start-finish straight. Andrea De Cesaris will start his 200th Grand Prix on Sunday for the Sauber team, joining Patrese and Piquet as the only members of the Grand Prix 200 club. Jean Alesi, meanwhile, celebrates his 75th Grand Prix and his 30th birthday. Qualifying. The McLaren team are still struggling with a lack of top-end power from the Peugeot engine, Martin Brundle posting 12th fastest time and Mika Hakkinen 8th. Damon Hill's Williams Renault would finish up 4th on the grid with his young teammate David Coulthard 5th, little over 1/10 of a second behind. The two Ferraris clocked speeds of more than 190 miles an hour in Friday's qualifying session, markedly quicker than Katayama's Tyrrell, who's next up. It's enough to see Berger 3rd on the grid with a time of 1 minute 27.059 seconds. Teammate Alesi holds provisional pole after Friday's session with a time of 1 minute 26.277. That cannot improve on Saturday and slips to 2nd on the grid. That leaves Michael Schumacher's Benetton, and he takes his 3rd pole position of the year with a time of 1 minute 26.178.
Schumacher takes what seems to be his customary lead into the first corner from Alesi 2nd, Berger 3rd and Coulthard 4th. Damon Hill is 5th. Coulthard soon finds out what it's like to be stuck behind a Ferrari. While Hill's not happy stuck behind Coulthard. The Williams closes under braking, the Ferrari disappears under acceleration. All this allows Schumacher to extend his lead. Lap 9, Coulthard waves Hill past. 6 laps later, Coulthard gets to see how it's done. Hill moves into 3rd place and quickly pulls clear as he sets off in chase of Alesi's 2nd place Ferrari, which he moves ahead of on lap 31. Lap 61, Hakkinen doesn't make the checkered flag for the 5th time in 6 races. Schumacher does though and takes his 5th win in 6 races. Hill is 2nd, Alesi 3rd, Berger 4th and David Coulthard 5th, receiving his 1st World Championship points. Afterwards, Coulthard explains to Frank Williams why his pace dropped off after such an impressive start.
I'm sorry about that. The first half, the first few laps I was going well, and then I started to cook the tyres, and then after I let Damon go, I had a problem with this foot. I couldn't feel it, so I was having to brake with my heel. And I think this is because I've never done more than 35 laps in testing. Magny-Cours I did 35 laps, but never 68. So, you know, I apologise for this, but it's something I can improve on.
When did the cramp come in?
After about 20 laps.
What a happy, very wet Never anyone happy.
Fittipaldi's footwork is excluded from 6th place in Canada for being 1.5 kilos underweight. Ferrari introduce a heavily revised 412 T1 in time for the French Grand Prix. Frenchman Jean-Marc Gounon takes over the 2nd Simtek seat at Magny-Cours. Leto finds himself, quote, rested by Benetton in favour of the test driver Jos Verstappen. And for a one-off appearance in France, this man is back at Williams Renault. Mansell's impact is immediate. Despite only qualifying 7th fastest in Friday afternoon's session, everyone is intrigued to see what threat he may be, especially to Hill and Schumacher. The Jordan team paid deference to Ireland's World Cup success against Italy. Ferrari's heavily revised car is more to Berger's liking, and on Friday he's 2nd fastest, but slips back to 5th on Saturday. Jean Alesi in number 27 is 4th on both days. Peugeot have a new engine for their home Grand Prix, but Hakkinen ends up 9th and Brundle 12th. With 30 Grand Prix wins to his credit, Mansell is in France for more than just a publicity coup. The Williams FW16 has been a difficult car to set up, and his wealth of experience is of enormous benefit to Hill. Having set fastest time on Friday afternoon, it's Schumacher who holds provisional pole position, and on Saturday he improves his time by 0.4 of a second. But the young German is on the limits and pushes just a bit too hard. It's time for the Williams pair of Mansell and Hill. Mansell puts in a 1 minute 16.359 to go fastest. Schumacher can only watch. But it's Mansell who has to watch as Hill goes out on his last set of tyres. One minute 16.282, less than a 1/10 of a second faster than Nigel, but good enough for Damon to snatch pole.
I'm proud to be sitting next to Damon here. I think it's great. It's the first time I've driven with a British driver as a teammate, and I can tell you I've never been so proud because it's so satisfying, as Damon will know years ago, to push him and to see him do what he's done today. It makes me happy.
Schumacher makes a remarkable getaway to burst through the front row into the lead. Alesi is 4th, and further back, Brundle moves up from 12th to 8th. Into the Adelaide hairpin for the first time, Schumacher leads from Hill, Mansell, Alesi, Berger, Barrichello and Frentzen. The opening laps are nose to tail for the front pair. Mansell is the first to stop. Lap 20, Zanardi's Lotus suffers a massive oil blaze at the rear. On lap 21, Schumacher makes the first of 3 stops, but never loses the lead. Damon Hill runs a comfortable second, stopping on laps 21 and 46, while Mansell is back in 6th position. Lap 41, Alesi overshoots into the gravel trap and spins over the curb across the circuit. As he tries to rejoin the race, he leaves Barrichello's 5th place Jordan nowhere to go. Both are out. Lap 46, Mansell retires from 3rd place with terminal transmission problems. In the final few laps, any thoughts Hill has of closing the gap to Schumacher are thwarted by back markers. Berger will finish 3rd, Frentzen 4th, Martini 5th and De Cesaris 6th. For Schumacher and the Benetton team, it's now 6 wins from 7 starts.
I was a bit worried yesterday after the performance we did and after the performance the Williams showed to us.
I was a bit worried for today. But after I'd known that they have a special engine, especially for France, which gives them a bit more power, I became a bit more quiet, and as well I knew I have a problem in my car, which I was pretty sure we're going to fix. And as you see, we did, and everything became a bit more to normal. But I have to say it was a really tough fight in the beginning with Damon, very close racing. But that's what we all enjoy.
Carl Wendlinger is making good progress and makes known his desire to race again. Pedro Lamy is on the mend and could possibly drive again before the end of the year. Ferrari's new 75-degree V12 will make its debut in qualifying at the British Grand Prix.
Ah, yes.
On that basis, Ross, you could get a job with the New Zealand cricket team.
Oh, thanks very much.
You must drive tomorrow with this.
Ukyo Katayama makes his debut with a cricket bat in Northamptonshire. The rising young Japanese star is definitely safer behind a steering wheel, though. Friday, free practice. Berger is a spectator as his engine blows on his first lap out of the pits. Damon Hill's Silverstone weekend starts similarly. Without even having completed a lap of the first free practice session, the front suspension mounts fail. David Coulthard is back in a Williams after Mansell's run at Manicourt. The World Cup tournament is progressing, and Minardi have an answer for the Jordan team's quip in France. Princess Diana and the two young princes are at Silverstone. Visits to the Williams and Benetton pits proving a source of great interest. Qualifying. Jean Alesi is one of the big four gunning for pole position on Saturday afternoon, having been third quickest on Friday. He improves his time to 1 minute 25.541. Berger is in sensational form, having missed all of Friday's free practice. He was second in the afternoon qualifying session on only his 6th flying lap. In the second session, he improves his time to 1 minute 24.980, pipping Alesi for pole.